Good afternoon, everybody, and you're very welcome to HFS Customs. This is Donal Horgan speaking. We're coming to you from our new offices in Portlaoise. We're at the plaza there, just on Junction 17 off the M7 motorway. We are also over in London in Beckenham. So please get in touch if there's anything we can help you with. The purpose of this little video is to try and give you our take on Brexit and what the bloody hell is going on at the minute. There's an awful lot of talk in the papers, I guess, about a deal and no deal, and I suppose the first thing we want to start with is by saying, with absolute certainty, at 11 p.m. on the 31st of December, which is Greenwich Mean Time or GMT, GB or Great Britain are leaving the EU VAT regime, the customs union, and the single market. Now that's whether there's a deal or no deal done. Don't be under any illusion that that this is happening. Now, what will all that mean? Well, it's going to mean a big problem for any of our trade coming into or out of the UK. There's a whole new world and a whole new set of rules and procedures that we're going to have to get used to. And I suppose the first thing to remember is that all goods, all physical product, regardless of value, will require a customs declaration. So there will be export documentation for goods leaving either the EU into the UK or the UK coming into the EU, and vice versa. There needs to be an import documentation prepared. So this is effectively a new tax head or type of tax for most entities. Most entities aren't dealing with countries, what we would call third-party countries, which is countries outside of the EU, which is what GB will become. So there's a lot of change. What we are talking about here, to try and simplify things, we are talking about east-west, so Ireland to UK and UK to Ireland. We're not talking about north-south up to the 6 counties. That's a different matter altogether. So one of the things that we're going to have to get used to is, as I say, this is a new tax head, and taxes, like other taxes, are subject to audit, and there is a paperwork trail that it is going to be required of us to keep. So you've got to keep records for 6 years. And there's a whole plethora of documentation that we're going to need to keep and things we're going to have to do a little bit differently than we have done before. And the first thing I want you to get your heads around is a thing called a tariff code, which is a 10-digit number that will effectively describe any product that you can possibly think of that will be associated with your imports and exports. And that will be, I guess, the important part of any customs declaration. Now, we also have to remember in the more complex industries, so if you're talking about animal or plant origin products, there's further documentation required, veterinary and certificates, and there's a new system called the Traces system. Most businesses are probably going to appoint a customs agent if they don't have their own in-house facility set up to work on these declarations. We're going to have to get used to Incoterms, which are the international commercial terms to determine obligations, risks and costs associated with international trade. And there's a whole new world of communication that's going to be required, real-time communication between all of the relevant parties, which is the exporter, the importer, the haulier, the aircraft, the driver, and of course there's the tax authorities on both sides of the border, as in the Irish Revenue Commissioners and the HMRC. So there's a lot of things to get used to and a lot of things to prepare for, and we have only got 4 weeks to go. In respect of VAT, which I guess is a thorn in all our sides, we got to get used to the new VAT regime, and over the years we've grown, I suppose, quite used to 0% VAT on our exports between VAT registered businesses on either side of the borders. That will no longer be the case. There will be VAT at point of entry. So if product is coming in from the UK into Dublin, then Dublin VAT will apply, which is currently 21%. If it's going over to the UK, then the UK VAT will apply. Now, there is a system of postponed accounting which will help on the cash flow point of view, but there is, paperwork and bookkeepers, and there is an administrative cost just to administering this new system. When it comes to B2C, or what we will call business to consumer, again, this is more complex than it has been. we need a method of calculation of a VAT liability. There is a new system called the OSS system, which will become operational in July of 2021. But in the interim 6 months, we have to come up with a way of identifying, calculating the VAT liabilities and making those VAT payments. One important point to make into particular to the motor trade or the second-hand motor trade, there's a lot of businesses, I suppose, go to the UK and they buy second-hand vehicles, they bring them over and they resell them in Ireland under what they would call the margin scheme. And that scheme will no longer be available to UK purchases because the UK are no longer part of the EU. So that's going to present a particular set of difficulties to that industry. Just onto the transporter and a quick word. Again, what the GB are leaving is the 4 freedoms associated with the European Union, which is the free movement of people, free movement of capital, free movement of product, and free movement of service. And with the loss of this free movement of people, drivers in particular have to be mindful of permits and licenses and insurance requirements that are no longer all one and the same, in that there's 2 separate regimes, and we've got to get cover in both the EU and the UK. So there are a lot of things coming down the tracks at us, and they're coming very quickly. We've only 4 weeks to go. The world won't end on the 1st of January, of that we're sure, but there is going to be a transitional period where it's going to be difficult, and it's going to take time to maybe rearrange the supply chain, and those procedures over the next few months will have us pulling our hair out, but we'll get there at the end. So look, at HFS Customs are here. We'd like to help out in any way we can. Get in touch, and the best of luck with the new year. Thanks, everybody.